So in today's video, I'm start to discuss with you some of the cultural shocks I have faced till 1.5 years till now. So my next question with you is about cultural shock for me is regarding the dating kind of concern.
The lady would pick up the bill and pay everything.
To the Hamburg. In Hamburg. In Hamburg, lady be the whole bill.
Oh, I think need to go to Hamburg then.
So where you hunt the German chick then?
Hello friends, I am your host Umair Sharik and you are watching Pakistan Online. So in today's video, I'm start to discuss with you some of the cultural shocks I have faced till 1.5 years till now. So here with me is one of my good friend Irfan. He is German Iranian and he has to defend these point of things that these are not actually cultural shocks because he is brought up here. Not born, he's born back home here in Iran, but brought up here.
Born in Iran, but raised in near Hamburg, a city called Lübeck.
So I shared some points which I feel it's weird for me as an Asian, which come here and discuss with you guys that maybe it's cultural shocks for me. And Irfan's supposed to counter it, maybe because he said that he's very good in counter. So, I think that he has to give us points because I've discussed this thing and he has to share it with you guys. And because like every people who comes to Asia have to face these things when you come into new land. So he is actually used to that things. He has to give you better opinion why German people do like these things. The first thing I feel is a cultural shock is by back home we have the habit to leave our seats for old people and for women and especially for pregnant women. But here when we are supposed to leave our seats for women and old people, they get angry. So what do you think about that?
So that's like the biggest misconception that people from different countries, they say society is telling us that we have to respect the other people, we have to respect the elders, we have to respect the woman. In Germany, the respect culture is a little bit different. Everyone here follows the school of thought of individualism. So the idea that you need to give your seat to a woman because she's a woman, it's something that is not accepted. There are places reserved in the buses for disabled people, and that is required by law to do that. So if it's forbidden for normal people to sit on those seats, but that's usually the way it's done. In Germany, you should not give your seats to a woman or to an elderly because you can label them as such. Everyone is treated the same way because at the end of the day, they believe that equality matters more than anything else.
So what do you think that where is the respect come from? That if you give the seats for elder people and women, so we left the seats because we respect them. We give them in order to give them pride, in order to give them respect.
Yeah.
So what do you think that this is not a respect phenomena for German people or what?
No, I guess the way that they define respect is totally different. Giving a gesture of just giving up your seat, that is not necessarily a sign of respect. There are exceptions, obviously. There are people who would do that, and there are people who would appreciate it, but it's not a cultural phenomena for you to specifically go out, say that you give up your seats is a gesture of respect. It's just the way that Germans define respect. They don't define it by showing gestures such as giving your seats.
My next question with you, Irfan, is like I, being an Asian, feel the second cultural shock, which is for me, is the thing that German
People are not usually open. Yeah. They have very reserved kind of person and their faces are always serious.
Yeah.
they are not very smiling faces. I have ever like in 1.5 years, I rarely see a German smiling, like in buses, in trains, in U-Bahns, in shopping malls. I rarely see any German smiling.
Yeah.
So this create an indication that they are very kind of reserved persons. So we are, being a nation, we are very open person. We are open people. We are accept the people like with very great like charm and whatever thing you can say about it. But they are not like that. So this is actually cultural shocks for me.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It's definitely true. Germans are,
More reserved, they are more cold than other nations.
especially the more north you go, the more reserved the Germans become. Like compared to southern part of Germany, they are more open about. They are more open-minded. They are more open to talk to other people. The reason for that are mainly historical reasons. World War II affected this country in a great extent, especially in terms of culture. a lot of people died during the war. So this idea of not trusting the other people is probably the main reason why Germans are so closed, and it would take them longer time to open up and to trust other people whom they necessarily do not know. Obviously, in other countries, you do not have that because they never experienced such a thing. And the subcontinent, obviously, the World War was also there, and there were wars and famine too. But the extent was far fewer, I believe, as far as my knowledge of history goes. And I guess that's one of the main reasons that why Germans take more time, because the trust element is not there.
So my next cultural shock when I came here is the language.
The language is actually a cultural shock that most people don't understand English.
Maybe it's a fortune for you if you get the admission or get the chance to come into a bigger city. You find the people who can speak English, but most of the people don't understand English, and they don't even speak English. Even sometimes they understand English, but they don't want to speak English. This is also a thing. So this is actually a cultural shock for me. So what do you say about that?
That's very true. That's one thing we have to make it clear. In Berlin, people do speak English, but to a lesser extent. If you go to other major cities like Hamburg or Munich, there you get absolutely zero English.
Oh, okay.
So Berlin is still considered an international city where people do speak a good English. It's more of a generation thing. I think people in my generation, the people who are in their early 20s, most of them are able to speak English, because here when you go to high school, actually from the secondary school you start learning English, and in high school you do have lessons each week that are fully conducted in English. So the young people, especially the young generation that are coming up, they have a better command on the English language. The problem is definitely with the older generations. They never had English back in high school, especially during the time when Germany was divided into East and West. The eastern part of Germany, where they had to learn Russian back in high school and not English, so they had not a single idea about learning the language. Another part of it is Germans, even though they say that they are not patriotic, like if you ask them, they say no. We are not patriotic people. We don't believe in patriotism. But deep down, they are proud of their heritage and of their language, and they expect foreigners who come here to adapt.
And speak their language.
Exactly. Not only to adapt the language, but also to adapt the mentality. And that's what they care about. I told you this before, like they don't label you based on what you look like and what your nationality is. The only thing that they label you is that, do you have the same mentality as I do? That's the German thing.
Okay. So my next question with you is about cultural shock for me is regarding the dating kind of concern. Dating scene, you know about that?
Yeah, sure.
So the thing is, which actually make me a little bit weird for me, that back home, it's expected by the woman that person whom he's dating with has to pay the whole amount of money. Whether it's 2 rupees or whether it's 2,000 or 20,000 or 2 lakh, whatever the amount is.
Yeah.
So she is expecting that you have to pay all the sum of money. So, but here, I think it's not like that. It's not a culture shock for me that women are not expecting, but willfully share the half of the bill.
Yeah.
And sometimes women pay the full bill. So what do you think about that?
That's true. So before we dive into that, again, there is this idea of South and North thing. So
Okay.
the more south you go, the more traditional they become. So like if you go out, if you're in Bavaria and you go out on a date, it is usually accepted that the man has to pay. And if the woman pays, then it is not considered a date, it's considered more of a friends hanging out. The more north you come, like in the middle, like you're here in Berlin, they have this culture of 50-50. They say, let's go Dutch. So everyone has to pay for his own stuff that he or she has ordered. And the more north you go, like near Hamburg, then that's where usually the lady would pick up the bill and pay everything.
In the Hamburg?
In Hamburg. Like
In Hamburg, the lady pay the whole bill?
Pay the whole bill.
Oh,
yeah,
I think need to go to Hamburg then.
So the idea is, I think it's more driven mainly by feminism.
Okay.
That's the main idea behind it, that the man and woman are equal, and a woman shouldn't just come to the date because she feels obligated. Usually there is this I mean, there is this notion that if the man pays for everything, then the woman has to kind of repay in a certain way. So her paying her own.
So there are
fair shares.
there are other ways to
Yeah,
pay.
yeah,
men?
they are other ways to pay, and I guess that's kind of takes it out of the shoulder of the lady, that when she pays, and then she can be straightforward with that person, and there's not going to be any sort of a misunderstanding between the two people. But yeah, like in German culture, the idea of equality is very much stressed. So when you go on a date, it is pretty common. Even the waiters would ask you, do you want to pay it together or do you want to pay it separately?
Like in trend or zusammen.
Yeah, exactly. That's the German expression for it. So do not be shocked if the lady insists that she wants to pay her half. But again, there are exceptions. Like I said, in Berlin, it's very international, so you have people from different backgrounds and different nationalities. So when you go on dates here in Berlin, it's best to just communicate with the person. And as a man, I mean, the way I do it, I usually offer to pay, and if the lady insists that she wants to pay the other half, then I will let the lady to do it. So I'm not gonna force to say, oh no, I have to explicitly pay for everything. Again, it depends on people. Like the different, it's not a European phenomenon. I would say it's more of a
German phenomenon.
not even a German phenomenon, more of a South and North phenomenon. Like the more south you go, the more traditional they become. The more north you go, the more progressive they become. And that's the main reason for it.
Okay.
So where you hunt the German chicken?
I guess in Berlin it's not that easy because, like I said, majority of the people who come to Berlin are from different countries. So it's extremely rare to find a German woman. To find a German woman here
Why?
in Berlin, because, like I said, people come from different places, all over the
It's
world.
difficult.
To specifically find German woman, it's difficult in Berlin.
Okay.
Because, like I said, majority of the people here are expats or people who come here for studies or people who want to further their careers. They are also German people, of course. I mean, we are in Germany after all. But chances are, it depends also on what you do. If you are here as a student, then the chances are that you are more likely to meet other foreign students, especially if you're doing master programs. If you're here working in an international company, again, the chances are that you're going to meet someone also foreign and not explicitly German. But it's not something that is that hard to find. If you go to bars or even on the streets, there are chances for you to meet German. And it's the best way to also practice your German. Dating a German woman, I think it's a lot easier, or a German man, it's a lot easier for you to learn the language as well.
My next question is from you is, what do you think? Because I feel that we being back home, we are actually not so much straightforward person. So we are actually being so much diplomatic while dealing with kind of thing. You have an experience back home when you were in Iran.
Yeah, I remember.
We have not to deal people like you can say like straightforwardly. We just don't have don't have the courage to say them straightforwardly, or just whatever I feel.
Yeah.
So what do you think that is? But here in Germany, it's a cultural shock for me that the people are very much straightforward. If they want something, they say you yes. If they don't want, then they say directly on you no.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
So here, honesty matters more than anything else, and Germans do care that you're honest about them. They don't like
honest about them.
Yeah, honest about everything. To be straightforward with them, to say what you think. They don't like it when you try to play politics, because, like I said, here they don't have the culture of saying, oh, I might get offended based on what you say. They're not going to label you. They're not going to see you as someone who is of higher status than them or lower than them. Here, there is this idea that everyone is equal, so no one is going to talk down to you or talk up to you. Everyone would say what's on their mind, because at the end of the day, they think that we are all equals and we deserve to be straightforward with one another. Why do we have to play politics when we are equals?
So thank you, Irfan, for your time, the German Iranian guy, you know that. So thanks for your time, for giving us and share us the German perspective about the cultural shock which we faced as an Asian, as an people who come from subcontinent side who feels this kind of, and especially the dating kind of thing. You give us the best opinions from your side and how to find a girl and how to date a girl. What are the things to keep in mind? So thanks for your time. Do you want to say something?
Worries. Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me. Like I said, if I can say one last thing, just be yourself. These cultural shocks are so it's going to happen to everyone who comes to a new country. As the time goes by, you are going to get integrated into society, and these might not be cultural shocks for you. And it's from my experience, I can tell you that you might even experience once you get adapted to this country, going back to your home country.
It's
yeah,
getting difficult.
You might even have a reverse culture shock. So just keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Uh,
That's it
so
for me.
so till then, take care and see you in my next vlog.